All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Assassination Classroom, Season 1, Episode 6.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
We had that assembly.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they don't like Class E.
Yeah. And it's funny because it made me think about actually the fact that they're Class 3E. So I'm like, wait, where's Class 2E and 1E? But it's not important right now. The idea is that we've got to stick together.
Exactly.
As a class, and also these teachers who are not all necessarily teachers, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
We're looking at you.
We have the principal,
Vampire-looking mofo.
Yeah.
Who now has to
being a threat.
He has to cancel his knitting classes because, damn it, these kids are being too positive. They're not cowing. So he's going to do something.
Yeah.
We have no idea what. But
we have no idea
it's going to be
what.
something.
But it is something that will temporarily put a hold on the priorities of assassinating Korosensei.
Right.
Which I kind of like the fact that that's being brought up. Because that means on some level, the idea of Korosensei being assassinated is something that is different levels of priority for different groups of people.
Right. And it's also bringing up that whole notion that, like, okay, let's be real. Assassinating Korosensei is not the point of this show.
We know that.
We know that. There is the pretense that that is what it is, but we know that there's more to it. So
because
now
it's going to be about the Kokoros and the friends we made along the way, and
all of that
wonderful
good stuff,
wholesomeness.
So the fact that we're deviating from that a little bit is that's enticing to me.
Yeah. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Midterms already!
Okay.
The facial expressions on Korosensei are changing slightly every once in a while. Yeah! Oh my gosh! Is he?
Wow.
Whoa! And one nerd!
That's his weakest subject. Okay.
He's just holding the knife up there!
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's for his mental health.
Right.
The dust being kicked up.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Don't.
But I love that the show is thinking about things like, yes, if he's moving that fast, the air moving around in this room would be insane. Like,
if anything, he's probably doing other movements that slightly displace the movement.
Oh yeah, he's figured it all out.
Oh yeah.
But like, so it's just the dust like down at floor level that's just constantly getting kicked up.
Right. Is the principal?
I think it might be.
Wow. What a bitch.
He can't solve a Rubik's Cube, so he breaks it apart.
Right.
That's new.
We're getting backstory stuff with Korosensei?
Yeah. I love how he's talking with so much confidence when he's in a room with two assassins.
Oh, a complaint. Nagisa!
コロ先生、1秒以内に解いてください。 でもね、コロ先生。この世の中にはスピードで解決できない問題もあるんですよ。
Wow.
いやあ、中間テスト期待してるよ。頑張りなさい。
I like how they drew
とて
him
も乾いた頑張りなさいは一瞬で僕を
with the voice and everything. I
エ
really
ンド
like
の
that.
E 組へ引き戻した。
暗殺を完全にコントロールして支配している。だが教師としてはこの学校にはあの強力な支配者がいる。
That's so
理
badass.
事長浅野学法。
浅野学法。
創立10年でこの学園を全国指折りの優秀校にした敏腕経営者。
Ah,
この学校で
reputation.
彼の作った仕組みからは逃げられない。たとえ
He holds his grip of power based on the results, so he's personally invested. Ooh. Some of them had like anime haircuts and stuff, yeah.
どうしたのコロ先生
I think I saw Hinata in
入
there.
りすぎじゃない
Like Haikyuu Hinata or
Yeah.
Naruto Hinata?
Like Haikyuu Hinata.
Oh my gosh.
さすがに相当疲れたみたいだな。
今なら
Yeah, yeah, chance.
なんでここまで一生懸命先生をすんのかね。
すべては君たちのテストの点を上げるためです。そうすれば。
コロ先生おかげでいい点取れたよ。
もうコロ先生の授業なしじゃいられない。
Oh,
なんてできないよ。
good. He wasn't.
He's assassinating their hearts. Oh,
殺される危険もなくなり、先生にはいいことずくめ。
100億あれば成績悪くてもその後の人生バラ色ですね。
That's definitely true.
そういう考えをしますか。
I mean, that's how a lot of them see it, yeah.
コロ先生。
but bringing
テ
this
ストなん
up.
かより暗殺の方がよほど身近なチャンスなんだ。
Wow. Dang. Oh, it's rebellion then.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this, Korosensei. Yeah.
今の君たちには暗殺
Oh,
の資格がありま
gonna
す。
remind you how impossible it is
Yeah,
to
yeah.
assassinate me. Oh, let's do this.
定期テストで学年186人中50位に入り、なおかつ元の担任がクラス復帰を許可すれば、
Ah.
さらにその国から抜け出せる。だが、
Gotcha.
もともと成績最下位な上、
Doesn't exactly
them
encourage. Yeah.
Whoa, this is actually this is there's something that is very applicable to the real world
Oh, yeah.
here.
あなたはいつも仕事をするとき、用意するプランは
I love
Well,
how
as we've
Korosensei's
seen,
voice
yes,
is much
she
more
actually
serious.
does.
結局何が
There's
言い
ways
たいん
this
だ
can be applied to their exams too.
先生方のおっしゃるように、自信を持てる次の手があるから、自信に満ちた暗殺者になれる。
All right.
What's your backup plan for if you can't
俺たち
assassinate
には
me?
暗殺があるからいいやと考えて、
Uh-huh.
勉強の目標を低くしている。それは劣等感の原因から目を背けているだけだ。
That's
もし他の殺し屋が先に
yeah.
先生
Only
を
one
殺
person's
したら
gonna kill him.
Yeah.
暗殺という拠り所を失った君たちには E 組の劣等感しか残らない。
Good old E-class
危う
inferiority.
い君たちに先生からのアドバイスです。
Oh my
Ain't no way in
gosh.
hell you're killing me.
第二
Whoa.
の刃を持たざる者は暗殺者の資格なし。
Whoa. Right. That's awesome.
So by that logic, Zoro's a super assassin.
校庭に雑草やデコボコが多かったのでね、手入れしました。
What?
Wow.
What?
先生
Wow.
は地球を消せる超生物。この一体を平らにするのはたやすいことです。明日の中間テスト、クラス全員
Oh!
50位以内
All
yes!
right.
Yes!
Aren't there like 30 of
君
them?
たちの第二の刃は先生がすでに育てています。自信を持ってその刃を振るってください。
This is
を
brilliant.
成功させ、恥じることなく笑顔で胸を張るのです。自分たちがアサシンであり、E 組であることです。
That's right.
Channel that confidence. Yeah. Believe in the Korosensei that believes in you.
Exactly.
テストは全校生徒が本校舎
Of
で
course,
受
they
け
take
る
it at the main campus. An
Mm.
unfamiliar environment.
僕ら E 組だけ
Yep.
アウェーでの戦いとなる。
Nice. Yeah. That is essentially what it feels like.
Yep.
Oh my god. It's number 4!
やばい。攻略の取っかかりがつかめない。
It's probably also skewed specifically to be maybe more difficult exams.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I
Skip
feel like
question 4 and go and do the other ones and come back
go
to
through
question
them
4
all,
later.
get the easy ones first.
Yep. What did you think was gonna
本
happen?
気なの？
一箇所ずつ問題文を見極めて、
Yeah.
それらを伝えて全身を見れば、ね、なんてことない相手です。
Oh, that's awesome! This was something that I was taught too, that you can disassemble a problem into a lot of little smaller problems.
問題文の重
And
要な
then,
部分、
yeah.
Yep.
解き方のコツ、全部コロ先生が教えてくれた通りだ。
Oh, that's great!
And he can tell that suddenly they're doing way better. Masaka.
この問題なら
What is this academic pressure?
次の問題も次の問題も次の
There's still some really tough ones out
Yeah.
there, yeah.
This is, one of the or the top school in the country.
Number 11.
The quintuple multi-parter.
おかしいですね。ちゃんと通達したはずですよ。
あ
あなたの伝達ミスじゃないんですか？何せおたくら本校舎に来ないから。
Dang.
伝
None
達
of
ミ
them
ス
were
など
even
覚えはない
close.
し、そもそもどう考えても普通じゃない。
本校舎のクラスではなんと理事長自らが教壇に立てる
Wow,
見
huh?
事な授業で変更部分を教え上げてしまわれましたよ。
Okay. All right.
理事長自分の主義のためにそこまで言うか
How shall we respond?
先生の責任です。この学校の仕組みを甘く見すぎていたようです。
Wow.
君たちに顔向けできません。
I don't think we've ever heard Korosensei talk like this. I don't think so.
顔向けできなかったら俺が殺しに来んのも見えないよ。
カルマ君、先生は今落ち込んで、
俺問題変わっても関係ないし。
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Holy
And watch,
crap.
he's not gonna leave. He's just
あ
gonna
んたが
stay.
余計な範囲まで教えたからだよ。だから出題範囲が変更されても対処できた。俺はこのクラス出る
Yep.
気ないよ。
Uh-huh.
前のクラス戻るより暗殺の
Of
方が
course.
全然
Good
楽しい。
stuff, man.
全員50位以内に入んなかったって言い訳つけてここから尻
Wow.
尾巻いて逃げちゃうの？それって結局さ、殺されんのが怖いだけ
Oh,
なん
what
じ
a
ゃない？
guy.
Nice. なんだ、コロ先生怖かったの
Nice,
か。
nice.
それなら正直に言えばよかったのに。
Cool.
ねえ、怖いから逃げたいって。
Oh.
逃げるわけではありません。期末テストであいつらに大返しで
End of term exams.
That's right.
中間テストで僕らは壁にぶち当たった。B 組を取り囲む分厚い壁に。それでも僕は
Nice,
心
nice
の中
karma.
で胸を張った。自分がこの B 組である
Yeah.
ことに。
That's right.
Cool, cool. What I really love about this episode is it's more bringing the class together again. As we get more external antagonism,
Right.
the class becomes tighter,
Yep.
becomes more like bonded, and Korosensei is a part of this, so he becomes more bonded with the students.
That's right.
And it just keeps going, and they worm their way into each other's hearts, and
Yep.
it's just
Like this reminds
Good
me of
stuff.
like a romantic comedy where the characters don't realize, like, come on, you both love each other, like, stop pretending you don't, kind of thing.
Oh, that's
It's the,
right.
Come on, you don't want to assassinate Korosensei, you know.
I mean, of course
like,
they do.
Well, I mean, the 10 billion would
But-
be nice,
but-
but that, you know,
Right,
they want him
right.
as their teacher. That's
They
the
want him
main
as their
thing.
teacher. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we got ourselves another episode here.
Yep.
This one gave us a little bit more with regards to the principal. A lot more with the principal, really. But it was a little bit more, I would say, also with kind of the Nagisa, Korosensei kind of like, main character dynamic here, in that Nagisa adds a few more things. His notes. Korosensei gets a little bit of something teased at there with regards to his past.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Maybe potentially being at some point the one that would save the Earth.
Which is interesting.
Very interesting. But now has to maybe play the role of villain, or just is the role of a villain. Interesting.
Yeah.
But
we also got a lot more with the school and how Class E is specifically thrown under the bus. A lot. Repeatedly.
We knew that it was the case, but we now know who is responsible for this and exactly why. Because
that's true.
Because we knew that it was primarily a discrimination thing, so that
to motivate everyone else through fear.
Right.
Yeah, we got that. But what I really liked about this episode and how they went into it, it was all the little details, right? Because general pictures, right? Motivate through fear and put them down and all that stuff. I get that, right? But it doesn't paint a vivid picture for me of what it's like for these students, and it has less connotation to the real world in my mind because I don't see all the insidious details of it, right? And things like them having to go to the school where they're in unfamiliar territory, having the teacher that's like tapping his finger, like in a way that would be very like panic inducing potentially if you're already stressed about the test, and then of course there's the over the top stuff of the changing the question, right? Having a question on different material and only teaching the people at the school about it because I guess Class E just didn't know that was going to be on the exam.
Yeah, but they brought up some things that I would say do have some very real world connotations there, and that is that if you are put into an environment not of your own choice that restricts your capacity for opportunity, well then by itself you don't actually need to have the principal show up and enforce basically that they do badly.
Right.
No, the environment begets itself.
Right.
This is the thing that I would say a lot of people will have differing opinions on, and that is that environment is stronger than willpower.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of people like to think, and I would say that there's some truth to it, like everything in balance, obviously, that actually, no, willpower is stronger than environment. Yeah, I would say sure, in very specific circumstances, yeah, totally.
For a while.
Well, yeah, but I would say in general, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can argue against that. But I would say that overall, if we were to look at the general like stuff there going on there, environment, like you said, eventually beats out willpower.
Right. The best thing that willpower can do to beat the environment is to change the environment, right? But if it's in something where you can't really just decide to change the environment, then it's very hard to... And oftentimes, you don't even know that there's an environment that you need to change to because you haven't seen anything else,
possible.
Right? Like,
it's very possible,
if someone, say, grew up in a particular neighborhood, right, they're not going to know that there's such a thing as, a different neighborhood.
Well, right.
Whatever.
I think that the main point to bring up here is that most of the time, actually, I think they do know, but the difference is the details. The devil is in the details. The difference would be that you would look at the kids in class, 1 or 3A, for instance, and you'd go, they're in a different environment.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know what that environment that they're in looks like.
Exactly.
You would just know that it is different.
Right.
And that's, I think, the good thing that's important to bring up is that these kids definitely know that they're in a different environment. They know that they're being discriminated against. They see and experience this whole thing there, but they don't know exactly how different it really is.
Right.
And until they've actually switched up environments, they won't know. So that creates, I would say, animosity and resentment and a whole bunch of other things, because then they go and just assume based on just the results that they see from a lot of the other characters in the other classes, and go, well, then they must have, a lot of these other things going for them as well. So,
and then there's also the idea of, because environment, even if say you manage to channel the willpower to not be completely beaten by your environment, for however long you can do that, right? Your environment will still have an effect, right? And let's say the effect of the environment isn't that it, makes it so that you can never do anything, but it takes that edge off, right? It only makes you 80% as effective, right?
Sure.
If that were the case, then that would take someone who would have gotten, say, 100% on an exam to getting an 80 on an exam.
Right.
A B-, right?
Yeah.
That's not exactly going to place them high in the realm of a bunch of people that are also trying very hard because, well, they don't have that handicap.
It's a built-in disadvantage.
Yep,
basically.
exactly.
Just as much as the other side of it is basically saying a built-in handicap. Yeah. This is something that is very much an issue when it comes to education, but it's also a thing that just applies just in general everywhere. And of course, always the devil is in the details. It's very much a thing of where there's going to be lots of different specific things there. But when it gets to the general level and it's that sweeping, that's where you're just going to get a lot of, I would say, destabilization of society in general. It's just you're going to get a lot of disenfranchised people, very much,
and this
upset.
This is in the ideal situation where they have Korosensei and they have all these other people helping them,
totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But in most situations, if there is a situation like this, and there are those, in the real world, even if they take different forms and whatnot, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is this exact form.
Korosensei
wouldn't exist, right? The teachers that are put there would also be, the least equipped, people in order to do it, because the best teachers would go to the classes that they want to be the cream of the crop.
Yep. So there's some really cool stuff you can get from that, but oh my god, the fact that Korosensei did not buck in the slightest to the principal. Only thing that he really did was he bore a little bit of the stress of the situation on himself.
Yes.
And we got to see the results of that where, his sloppy, images, became a little bit more ridiculous. well, they went from being clean and refined to sloppy and more chaotic.
Yeah.
And then it took some actions from the students in some ways to, kind of encourage Korosensei.
Yep.
What we saw here was the students teach their teacher something.
Yeah. And that's what I've been the show has been setting up that since the beginning, but because of this being focused on the teacher-student dynamic, that was probably the thing that I was most excited to see, because that's that give and take where then the students can realize that they also have something to contribute, right? Because Korosensei brought up the inferiority complexes here, right? But when students and students doesn't necessarily have an age associated with it, but specifically with young people, when they have a feeling that they can contribute and that there's something that they're bringing to the table that's worthwhile, even to these people that are, say, much older than them or can go Mach 20, that does loads for their self-esteem, and then that makes them try way harder and, really bring out their best self.
Right.
So,
especially if there's the slightest bit of recognition in response to that. This is something that I would say is a very underrated thing to remind just people in general. Whenever someone feels like that they can contribute for something, but they don't receive some immediate positive feedback regarding it, a large percentage, in my opinion, I don't, this is my opinion, so I don't know exactly what the results are. I haven't done a study on this or something. But I would guess that the large percentage of these people would eventually stop doing the thing.
Well, they that's karma.
Right, exactly. So karma in this instance there was the one that responded the most positively to this, not because Korosensei's teachings made him ridiculously good with regards to grades. His grades were already ridiculously good, but he got a little bit of that recognition. We saw that in the thing. He's like, hey, you're doing really good at this. You're doing really good. it was because, yes, Karma was doing really good. So it wasn't like Korosensei was lying to him and being like, you're doing so good, even though you only upped your percentages from 1 or something to 3 or something, you know?
False reinforcement doesn't help either.
Right.
But, yeah.
But when they put the effort in and they show that they can do something, you know, helpful and useful in this case there, giving them that recognition, even if it's not to the person that's like, it can be helpful to even give it to the person that's not let me break down what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that when Karma got the recognition, it helped not just him, but it helped the other students.
Right.
It's the opposite of the discrimination that the principal is bringing up, in that if you discriminate this group, yes, it can motivate the 95%. But if you give positive recognition to those that are performing, it can create, yes, in a negative sense, it could create some like, some tall poppy syndrome. Thank you. But it could also stir up those to go, wait, I want that recognition. So because just something to think about as well.
It's credit going where credit's due. It's the idea that basically that person worked hard. We all worked hard, right? You know, and we weren't quite able to do as well as we would have hoped. But the person that was able to do well, they did get recognized, and that makes it seem more possible for all of us to be able to do that. And we know that when that happens, it will properly be recognized, right?
Yes.
It's not something where we're just cursed and fated to be in this state, and even if we do well, it won't matter, right? Now, the school, it might not matter to them or whatever, but amongst all of us and with Korosensei and stuff, we know, and, well, according to the scores, you know, even the rest of the school also knows.
Yes,
you know.
And this is the other thing, that Korosensei is also effective and purposefully putting himself in these situations where the students will improve. Even Karma, who I'm assuming didn't always get 100 on a math, midterm.
Yeah.
Like, I am certain that there are a lot of people out there that like consistently get hundreds on the big exams and stuff like that. But Karma specifically gave recognition back to Korosensei and saying, your good teaching also made me more effective in what I was already good at.
So that I wasn't thrown for a loop when those other questions got brought up.
Which then gives validation to the other students that if they take what Korosensei is doing purposefully, there will be this compounding cycle of just goodness. And that's something that they can all tap into. That is something where they are utilizing their free will and their environment to an advantage. That's just, it's good stuff.
I feel like this whole situation here is a, like, yes, with schools and everything, it's great, but it has so many other applications in life in general.
Totally.
And one of my personal favorites to draw the connection to is with managers.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So in Korosensei's situation here, right, he is the good manager, right?
Right.
The principal is the bad manager, right? And it's on an extreme level, but, you know, the example still holds, right?
They also literally called him a manager. Like, they literally called the principal a manager when they were saying, for the last 10 years, this manager basically rose to the top because of his, results.
The school, but in one of the things that I've always thought was really interesting is that when, working at places, right, I would see the times when there were the people that got a job at a place and they quit after like a couple months or something because of the more things that you would expect, like they didn't really want to work there or whatever, they didn't show up on time, that kind of stuff, right? But the things that would really surprise me is when the really good workers would come to a place and they would quit after 2 or 3 months. And it was almost always because they weren't getting the proper recognition. They basically said, this is, I'm a good worker, and this is not a race that is a good race.
I would rather change my environment to where I'm going to be recognized for the effort I'm putting in.
And because I can understand when there's it's easy to understand when there's the super good proficient person that stays at a job for like, like 10 years or whatever, like the stereotypical old guy that like makes an entire restaurant run on like his elbow grease and duct tape, But then when it's that and it isn't the person who really works very hard or whatever, it's like, where does that come from? Why did they stick around, right?
Yeah.
And then you see all the other people that, you know, sort of show up and they're like, yeah, this is going to be great. Let's do some good work.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm going to go. You know, like...
Yep.
That stuff happens.
Because what they're doing by leaving, the worker that's doing really well, is they're basically running the risk of basically taking their environment and making it worse, essentially, temporarily, because they believe their free will be enough to garner them an opportunity.
Right.
However, in this environment here, this is one where they cannot do that.
Right.
One, they're kids. So they probably don't have control over where they get educated. In school
and exactly.
Well, right. They definitely have to stay in school, but it's probably up to this point been something where the kids kind of know if we were to go to our parents, they would say, no, like we discussed in a previous thing, we're keeping you at this school because this is the best opportunity for you.
Even in Class E, you're probably getting a better education than at most of the other schools out there.
Right, exactly. So this is something where they have to kind of make the most of it, which is what society loves to tell people in environments that are not necessarily friendly.
But what's great about this and what I'm curious to see happen here is that because they're removed from the school, actually, this could be a really good blessing in disguise, where they get to make their own environment, right? There's none of those people from the school. Yes, they have to go back into that environment for the exams and things like that. But apart from that, I would not be surprised if it got to the point where more and more people from Class E start getting in the top 50, right? And they don't leave because they love Class E, right? And then all of a sudden it switches.
Right.
And then the principal's like, damn it, Class E actually has better grades than the rest of the school. This is an issue.
In some ways, one of the best things about this is the equivalent of the characters going through what's like typically done in anime as like a training arc, where they go into their hyperbolic time chamber and pop out, you know, gains galore.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, what did you do in the dark?
Yeah, that we didn't get
to see. And I am so here for the idea that this ensemble cast will slowly be developed for the purpose of showing how different people need to approach this environment situation, and Korosensei and the rest of the students basically come together, not just necessarily to help that person, but to incorporate some aspect that person then brings into the environment, into the whole, thus elevating the class.
That's kind of the hero's journey.
I mean, it's kind of
go get the boon, bring it back to the village, you know?
Right.
Also, I have to mention, I loved the whole thing of Korosensei calling out their inferiority complexes and all that stuff, and doing that in a very direct, blunt way.
Oh, sure.
One of the things, though, that I gotta say, Korosensei, it kind of undermines a bit of your argument to them, talking about multiple assassination methods, when you know that Bitch Sensei does not use multiple assassination methods. She used one and it failed horribly, and I don't think she was the best example of that if you're wanting to communicate that to the students. It worked, thankfully, but, you know, just keep that in mind.
But, y'all, we've got also the principal as being an external, basically, threat with a face.
Yeah.
So in anime terms, what this means is that, you know, when they all kind of got together and had that, like, yeah, let's get them, end term exams.
Right.
That means that we're all going to be here for those juicy reaction faces that he's going to make, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually.
Let's
maybe not anytime soon, but eventually.
Let's hear that super deep voice go up a few octaves as he starts to freak out about everything just, you know, slipping through his fingers like sand.
Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about his voice specifically, it's killing me that I don't know immediately who his voice actor is, but he has this confidence in it that I really appreciate. But one of the things that it kind of tells me a little bit is of someone that needs to every once in a while use their charisma in a way to kind of attack the base of an individual, to kind of undermine them.
Yeah.
And he did that with Korosensei in the beginning here. But I am interested to find out at some point what is actually Korosensei's backstory.
Sure.
But have it be through the lens of if everyone knows, it's something that can't be used against him. When there's a thing that basically is like some kind of a secret with regards to his origins or just his backstory in general, if that just gets out eventually, the students know.
Right, then it has no power over you.
It has no power. I would love to see a moment, just a specific moment, where he tries to do something like that. And Korosensei just kind of gets that chi, you know, like glint in his eye. And then the students basically like are waiting in the hallway and he comes out. And instead of it just being Nagisa, it's just the rest of them. And they just kind of have that same glint. And it's just like, we're of one accord in here, my friend. You can't divide us anymore. And he just has this awkward moment of like, oh God, I just realized like it's been like 6 months or so. They're all trained killers at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's really terrifying, actually.
When the sports festival comes around.
Oh, my God, a sports festival. You know it has to happen.
Like, it has to happen. And you know that when it happens, Classy is going to dominate.
I mean,
it will be no contest.
I mean, like that's going to be the part where Naruto boy is actually going to be like, all my training has prepared me for this moment. Muscle gains jutsu. Like, let's go. So y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. You can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
That's right. Wrote a sci-fi novel called Battle Lines. It's awesome, and if you're interested, the link to Amazon is in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.